I just saw a TikTok today that, I feel like within the snow globe of my mind, there's always snow blowing around, in the sense of new ideas, evolution, pushing to a new space, a more evolved space, a clearer space, a kinder space, a more empathetic space, more compassionate. Um, you know, that space that is enjoying the journey. But I watched this TikTok, and it was about Abraham Maslow and the hierarchy of needs and self transcendence being above self actualization, and that is striking me to the absolute core. That is exactly what I'm doing, consciously doing, but not consciously labeling it, or but there's some beauty in the understanding of what that does, the clarity that that provides. It just puts a lot of things in place to where you're filing data. You have this, instead of papers laying all over the room, you have a collection of encyclopedias that is, well, literally the volumes of you. And when that settles for me and it becomes clarity, and then it fits into my thinking, then I no longer really have to dwell on that or seek to define it. It is now defined, and it's loosely defined. I'm very big on my journey, my own journey, my uniqueness. The joy and awe that you get from life is because you're embracing wholly your own existence. I know that people will call me a fanboy of like Gary Vee, but I don't want to be him. I don't for one moment out of any second of any day ever wish I could trade places with him. That's not how I'm wired. But you seek out those, you seek them out. You seek it. It's like, I mean, hell, it's even like an iRobot where it's unconscious. They're not even real. They just all, in a dark space, they all group together. It's that kind of a thing. You're just drawn to the energy, the energy. Like, I don't need you to be a Republican, or I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. I don't care what religion you are. I don't care what sex you identify with. If you project that energy, I want to be around you. And it gives me great joy to feel that community. It's one of the, I say I'm an extrovert. I may not even be an extrovert. I just seek to find that in others, and when I do, I'm enhancing my own joy. So, how do you get there? How have I gotten here? I mean, a lot of it is innate. And I do believe that when we are born in a certain evolution unto ourselves. I don't think we all start the same. There's no question that we don't all start the same. It isn't just drugs, power, money, sex, greed that defiles us. We're born at a certain level of gray, of being defiled, because I do believe I believe in reincarnation. So, people start, we don't all start in preschool. Honestly, I was probably born somewhere in a middle school psychology. But I spent my entire life going further, evolving, because I'm seeking more joy and fulfillment. I realized that when I was 21 years old, taking the philosophy course. What the hell is the point of life? The answer that I came up with was joy and fulfillment. And to this day, that answer has not changed. What's that make it? It makes it a truth. It's a truth. It's who I am. So then he's reading all this self-transcendence and everything. It's not like I need it to. And it's not that feeling, right? Like when you have a great idea and you don't do shit with it, but you get pissed when someone else like creates it. Like everybody thought of Uber, but Uber did it. Like, I don't do that shit. I get excited. I love it. I don't like, I don't need the recognition, but I need to recognize. It's not about what somebody did or thought of before me. I mean, that happened to me one of the first times in my life. I mean, I was, again, in my early 20s, I was reading Ralph Waldo Emerson, and I read some passages, and it was basically about the pastor speaking to the congregation. And, it's like, he says something about Plato and Christ. He says, you know, if you can just find one person in that congregation that hears you and you can turn them or make them into a Plato or make them into a Christ, then you've done your job. It's not focusing on all the discord and dissonance and bad shit, the sinner, fuck all that bullshit. It's finding and speaking to and drawing out of that person their goodness, their inherent goodness. And you know, I love the way I love. Like I am honoring that now after, I mean, my father-in-law once said to me that I was an alpha male, and I refused to agree with it because I think of the meathead morons at the gym that act like fucktards. But once he described it to me and made me do some real psychological studying from a psychological perspective, I'm like, it profoundly affected me. Again, all this thing circling in my head settled almost immediately. And it's realization on top of realization on top of realization, because that's how my brain works. I like a thing, so I add it in. I like a thing, and it's like I'm just making this cauldron of stew. But then eventually, as I'm throwing in all these ingredients, eventually something comes along and settles that. And now I have another layer or a ring in the tree. And he told me that I was an alpha. And when I got, and I saw that, and I listened to Vox Daily talk about the alpha male, realizing how tribal I truly am, and how I would absolutely, alphas use violence to solve problems when they need to. And I mean, you know, with discretion, of course. But they do. And it's funny because I can take abuse all day long, but when someone around me is being abused, stranger or family or anywhere in between, I instantly get involved. I can't help it. I am just drawn not to extend violence, but to keep peace, to stop it. How many times have I almost beat the shit out of somebody to then buy them a drink and hang out with them the rest of the night? It's definitely happened more than 5 or 6 times in my life. I seek to make a bond with everyone, but I have to get you to see me first. And then once you do, then we're good. So the alpha male thing was a huge one. And this was only maybe 3 or 4 years ago. It profoundly changed me. It put things in perspective. It changed the way I did business. It changed the way I expressed myself. It changed everything. And it was wonderful. But then again, the way I'm wired, there are other things happening at the same time. And because of that, there's a constant need to evolve, because you understand eventually there is no destination. There is only the journey, and the journey is the only thing you can celebrate. And really right now, I don't worry about the past. I have a few regrets, but I made peace with those regrets. And really it's my 2 sons and getting divorced and not having the day-to-day connection that I have, to have that with my kids, to be the discipline, to be the father as their incredible mother was being their mother. That was a disadvantage for them. At the same time, I think about karma, and I think about how this is that self-transcendence stuff. They're not excuses. I'm not making excuses. It's still a regret. You can't take that away from me. I have regret for that. But I also see that, you know, in the human existence, there is no perfection. It's just seeking perfection. And in that seeking, you do find real joy, real joy, real fulfillment. So, but then moving forward, I don't look to the future too much. I don't have expectation. I just want to be the best version of myself right now. And I understand that the construct or the blueprint or the MO, whatever it is, like it always propels me, not because I'm running from anything and not because I'm trying to get anywhere. I'm trying to optimize my place, the gift that is being me, the gift that is life and consciousness and love. And this is exactly what that TikTok did, though. It just puts it all into a clarity. And thank you, Abraham Maslow. Like, I'm not pissed I didn't come up with it. I didn't say that shit. You understand that you can, I mean, half of what the people that I look up to, they're expressing Maslow's hierarchy of self-transcendence. They're doing it in their own unique, special way. It's just, you know, we oversimplify very complex, beautiful things, and I'm just saying that the clarity that this has provided, I already got, and that's the other thing too, this is about execution. I already, when something hits me, I listen, like I hear it. I don't need to meet somebody in public and I don't have the expectation of how something is going to come to me. You just stay open to everything, whether it's a stranger or your best friend or your mom that you want to freak out at. They all can give you something or click something in you and inspire it and catch it aflame. And for me, that's what that did. And what, God, it's goddamn near overwhelming. But the clarity that that's provided makes me grateful. I feel only gratitude. I feel only clearer. I feel that my light now can shine brighter, clearer, more intensely and longer because of those realizations. But just like the alpha studying and just like Gary Vee and some of the major things he's done for me and you know, Maslow's hierarchy, you're grateful. You don't want to, it's like, it's not a seeking of validation. It's, you know, what's that corny ass movie, Wedding Crashers, that scene where she says you're looking for your counterpoint. It's the counterpoint of your own projection. And when something resonates, and it's not just like in thought or feeling, it's intuitive. It's a sixth sense kind of validation. I mean, it's metaphysical. It's what we call faith. It's what we call belief. So this has profoundly affected me. And now, thank you. Sorry. So the way I say shit, because I'm constantly self-aware. Like I'm constantly watching myself as I'm expressing myself, which is a wonderful, wonderful thing as long as you don't get too self-conscious. You have to have some ego to balance that self-awareness to ride that lightning. But what I think I said it to Gary Vee when I met him, and I was like in hyper mode and honestly had never acted that way in my life, and maybe never going to do that again, because I do kind of evolve rapidly in my observations because it's my constant goal in life. But I did the work. For that to resonate, I put in the work. Like I did that. I'm in a constant state of trying to be the best version of myself. I'm in a constant state of trying not to hurt other people in any way. It is my true goal in life. My legacy is the people that I surround myself with. That is hands down going to always be one of my truths, that my legacy in this life are the people that I've surrounded myself with, my family. That's my legacy. But when you're doing the work and you're doing the work and you're doing the work and you're doing it like in a big gigantic laboratory, so you're discovering things for the first time because you're discovering yourself for the first time. So you're putting in work, and then somebody comes along like Gary Vee, and he just like takes all, and Gary Vee was a big one because I had done a lot of work. So my lab was big and there were lots of little sub tests and experiments going on. And then when Gary entered my life in that moment, it's like, what it's really like is that I built this giant control room. And I think I said this in the video, and he comes in and he walks up to every double breaker and throws them on instantaneously. And if you could just visualize, if I could bottle how that feels, that it's like a fucking conduit. Like it is like you're just pulling in all of this energy, this pure, incredible, infinite energy, and you feel it going through you. But you remind yourself, and he even corrected me when I was saying what I was saying, because he hears that a lot, but he didn't do shit. He didn't change. It's not him. I don't give him the credit for doing it. I put in the work. I built that control room. That was mine. That was my unique journey in life and the way I've chosen to spend my life. but I'll be darned if there are, when two gather, I mean, it's almost biblical, right? Not necessarily in the name of God, but even when we gather and it resonates and you feel it, like, it doesn't matter what I do, I'm better with you. I'm better with other energy, not like necessarily like mine, but in essence, yes, there is a likeness to it. Regardless of how you express it, the energy is the energy. And when you bring someone around you that has that, how can you say you're not better for it? Like, are you kidding me? It's tribal, right? It's humility, right? And all these words, a lot of this shit is coming right out of that TikTok I watched, right out of that Maslow hierarchy stuff. But it never stops. I mean, when you get to a certain space, like, I don't seek power, I don't seek control. So sometimes I have to remind myself why I'm even doing a thing. Why would I want to start another business? I don't really care to have more money. I could chuck it all out right now and live real small if I wanted to. So there's got to be a bigger purpose for me. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm understanding. And that's what I have to remind myself. But the hierarchy thing, it helps me because it gives me less confusion. I'm not as confused. I'm not asking as many questions. He answered the questions. And he didn't fucking know me. He didn't know who the hell I am. He put some shit on TikTok because it's his passion, it's his hobby, it's the things that he likes, it's things he's interested in. So he likes to, that's what we do. We share. But when he did that for me, I've already commented once. I've already went online and I Wikipedia'd Maslow, and then I figured out the order of the books that Maslow wrote because of the hierarchy, the transcendence, self-transcendence had to come later in his studying, his experiments, or whatever the hell you want to call it, research. So then I bought the two books that came latest. He had 5. I bought 3 and 4 because the 5th one was about management, and I got a business vibe, and I don't give a shit about that. I mean, I do, but I want to learn more. Anyway, I bought book 3 and 4. So, but it's doing the same thing. And I'm catching it. Like, I'm giving you this information before it's even settled. So the snow globe is still whirling around, but so much of that resonated that it's just now I stopped shaking it. And now it's going to settle. And then we're going to go and see what comes after, because there's always an after. This is infinite. And I guess the last thing I was trying to touch on is no, I think that's it. Other than now, you take something like that, I guess this is it, and you now want to apply it practically. How am I going to incorporate this in the message that I'm already putting out there? How do I do that? How am I going to make that reflect where I'm at so that I can express better, more clearer, so that I feel that my content, the things that I say, are endless because I'm not tired of it, because it's not redundancy. Like, you have to constantly evolve as a person so that your content stays hot, stays exciting, because eventually you're going to get bored with your own content. It's just going to be redundancy in your own head. That's why you have to evolve yourself while you're evolving everything else. Everything has to move with you or move with you so that it never gets tiring and you never get shitty when you're doing anything or expressing yourself. Authentic and genuine. That's it. You have to be authentic and genuine. Nothing else matters as much as that. And you can't be authentic and genuine if you feel stuck, or if you feel rutted, or if you stay on the same thing and you're like just beating your head into the ground. Anyway, that's all I got. I like to end with something profound, but when the dogs bark, I start to get kind of annoyed, and they're annoying me because I'm human, and that's okay.